we will start with the topic concept of divorce. Okay. So yes, concept of divorce under Hindu law. In ancient times, the concept of divorce was not known to anyone. They considered marriage as a sacred concept. According to Manu, the husband and wife cannot be separated from each other. Their marital tie cannot be broken. Later, the concept of divorce came in the picture and established as a custom to put the marriage to an end. The provision related to the concept of divorce was instituted or introduced by the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. All right. The Hindu Marriage Act defines divorce as dissolution of the marriage. Kindly underline this phrase, students. The Hindu Marriage Act defines divorce as dissolution of marriage. Okay. After that, for the interest of the society, the marriage or the marital relationship needs to be surrounded by every safeguard for the cause specified by law. Divorce is permitted only for a grave reason otherwise given other alternatives. In the Hindu Marriage Act, there are some provisions given regarding a violent divorce, that is, when the spouse can get a divorce for appeal or appeal for dissolution of marriage in the court of law. For the interest of society, the marriage is the same line being repeated for some reason, I don't know. Then let's look at the first two paragraphs, students. It says that in ancient times, divorce was a concept which was not known to the citizens, right? But then, why was it not known to the human beings at that time? Because they thought that marriage is a very, very sacred concept, and we cannot ever, no man and wife who has been involved in a marriage can never be separated, right? Since they considered and still consider marriage as such a holy, sacred, and a religious activity that they never wanted to break the marital tie in the past, right? They had a clear-cut relationship with the husband and the wife, sacred, all holistic and religious. So they thought that marriage is something that can never be broken. But then they were wrong. What happened in later times? Husbands and wives were starting to get separated. And what was the ground for that? All the grounds that we have studied in the previously in the chapter are the ground. Can be consent, lack of consent, like any sort of extramarital affair, impotency in either of the parties. These are a few reasons which pounced on the topic of divorce. Moving on, the concept of divorce, students, came a little later, like quite a lot later after 1955. And the basic definition of the ideology or the meaning behind divorce as per the Hindu Marriage Act means dissolution of marriage. Simply speaking, dissolution of marriage, which says separation of husband and wife on mutual terms, agreements, disagreements, and in the court of law. Okay. Also, for the interest of society, there's a line here. Marriage as a sacred relationship is supposed to be secured, right? It is supposed to be safeguarded from the stupid activities happening in the society, so that marriage always portrays and delivers a decent image out of the couple. All right. In the last paragraph of concept of divorce, if you can see, it's given there. The Hindu Marriage Act is based on fault theory in which any of the aggrieved spouses can approach the court of law and seek the remedy of divorce. Section 13 subclause 2 provides the grounds on which only the wife can approach to the court of law and seek remedy. So students, right after this topic, the topic that we are going to cover is theories of divorce. Before we could even start with the theories of divorce, at the end of concept of divorce, it is already given that the Hindu Marriage Act is basically based on the fault theory. It is given there, right? It is based on the fault theory. And it says that according to section 13, subclause 1, any of the aggrieved spouses can go to the court to take remedies. And according to section 13 subclause 2, only the wife can approach the court. All right, understood? Any doubt till here? Yes, students? This was all in simple English language. I am hoping that there is no doubt. If there is, kindly let me know. No, I guess there is no doubt. Everybody is giving me a thumbs up. The ones who have switched off their camera, kindly keep them switched on. All right. Theories of divorce. The first one is fault theory. Under this theory, marriage can be ended when one party to the marriage is responsible or liable for the offense under matrimonial offenses done against another spouse. Only the innocent spouse can seek this remedy. The only drawback of this theory is that when both the spouse is at fault, then no one can seek any remedy for this divorce. So students, fault theory is very, very, very simple. Avishi, what does the fault theory say? It's very simple.
So the false theory says that if any of the husband or wife does some mistake or some offense that should not be committed, then the innocent one can seek for the remedy. But if both are not innocent, both are at fault, then no one can seek remedy.
Simple. Any doubt? Any doubt, students? No? All right. Second, mutual consent. I don't think I have to tell you people what mutual consent is. Mutual consent is one of the finest, one of the easiest things that you people know. Mutual consent is where if I tell Lotus that Lotus, you're supposed to be giving a review on so and so gadget, and I will be buying this gadget and I can give you for a review. So there is mutual consent. Lotus has agreed that he will give a sort of review, gadget review on my new gadget. And I have also made a proposal that do not worry, Lotus, I will be buying that gadget myself. And when I shall give it to you, I would like you to give it a try on giving a gadget review about that. All right. So what is the crux? What is the crux here? That Lotus is doing his job. I am buying my new phone on the basis of what? Mutual consent. Lotus is ready to give my gadget a good review. That is why I bought it and I am giving it to him. So mutual consent is the key. So let's go through this point of mutual consent. Under this theory, the marriage can be dissolved by mutual consent. If both the spouses mutually give their consents to the end of the marriage, they can take the divorce. But many philosophers criticize this theory as this concept is immoral and leads to hasty divorce. Any doubt in this topic? In this topic, a couple can take up a divorce by mutual consent, but philosophers say that this theory is a little abrupt because there are so many hasty divorces happening. Because the young couples, they like agree on anything. They both will agree on the fact that they don't want to live with each other, even as a married couple, and then they will release themselves from the religious act of getting married, and that leaves marriage as a joke. Nobody would like to create a joke about any religious activity, right? So that is why philosophers say that mutual consent is a little abrupt. Next, irretrievable breakdown. According to this theory, the dissolution of marriage happens due to the failure of the matrimonial relationship. The divorce can be taken by the spouse as a last resort when both of them are not able to live together again. So here, both the man and the woman are good as individual single human beings. But after getting married, what happens? Their married relationship is getting all abrupt and hampered. They themselves are good persons, good people. But then the bond of marriage, the special essence of marriage in between them is trying to make them feel a little uncomfortable, and they are having all sorts of differences every day. So where does that lead? It leads to just one last option, getting a divorce. So one last resort is the last option or the last step to be taken is divorce, irretrievable breakdown. Any doubt till here, students? Samriddhi, Rochak, Kartike, Fatima, Bhumi, Piyush? Any doubts? All right. Since nobody's replying, I am taking it as a situation where everybody's understanding. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up also. All right. All right. So I'm going to also give you an introduction about restitution of conjugal rights, concept of restitution of conjugal rights. Let me just read the first paragraph and then I'll give you a small explanation about it. Kindly pay attention on the notes, please. Restitution of conjugal rights. When either the husband or the wife has, without reasonable excuse, withdrawn from the society of the other, the aggrieved party may apply by petition to the district court for restitution of conjugal rights, and the court, on being satisfied of the truth of the statements made by the petitioner that there is no legal ground why the application should not be granted, may restitution of conjugal rights accordingly. Let me break it down for you. Withdrawn from the society of the other means when the husband tries to leave the company of the wife and when the wife tries to leave the company of the husband. Withdrawn from the society of other. It doesn't mean the society that we are living in. It means the society of one another. So when the husband is trying to withdraw himself from the wife, or when the wife is trying to withdraw herself from the husband, the aggrieved party can file a petition in the court for what? For restitution of conjugal rights. And the court will check as to whether this is true, all the statements and facts are true, and there is nothing which is going to waste the time of the court, and there is nothing wrong in the petition. The courts grant a decree that says that there will be restitution of conjugal rights. Students, I want you all to recollect what is basically restitution of conjugal rights, as we had discussed earlier when this chapter started. Restitution of conjugal rights are reinstitution or reinstatement of the married rights. For example, students pay attention. If Mr. A and Miss B got married in August 2020 and in January 2021, Mr. A says that he is not able to tolerate Miss B around himself because of such and such habits. But that is mere, which can be corrected. So what does the wife, Miss B, does? She goes to the court, files a petition, and pleads in front of the court that my husband is not willing to live with me only because of certain differences in our activities. So, and hence they can be improved. So I would like the court to give me a grant for restitution of conjugal rights between me and my husband. So the court will check as all the statements true. And what does that court do after that? The court will grant a decree that says that Mr. A and Miss B kindly sit down for the process of restitution of conjugal rights, where all your marital problems would be solved by a third party, a neutral third party. Also, the family members would be present, and all sorts of procedure, whatever is taken up. So, restitution of conjugal rights is between two spouses who feel that they are not able to live with each other in good harmony, but they can after restitution of conjugal rights. So it's basically bringing back life to a relationship which was ending because of certain inactivities, and the court takes up charge to bring the husband and the wife back. Because students always remember, the court does not directly want the couple to file a divorce and make their marriage null and void, because getting married is also a task which is holy and legal, like it is religious and legal at the same time. So the court will also not like a couple to randomly do something which is against their religion and also against legal enactment. All right, any doubt regarding restitution of conjugal rights? Any doubt?
Excuse me,
Please put
sir.
up your questions. Yes.
So, if the issue between the spouses are of the grave nature, so they can the constitutional it will be converted into the divorce between them.
See, if there is a very grave nature, which even after restitution of conjugal rights cannot be resolved, the last option is divorce only. But right above divorce for the husband and wife, the best thing is to go for restitution of conjugal rights, because that helps them to, yes, because that helps them to clear up all their indifferences and they can go back as a married couple. But then, as you stated, and as also this book states, that if there is very like such a hard and fast problem that is just cannot be solved, then the court also advises that since there is a lot of indifference between Mr. A and Miss B, you can go for divorce, because even when restitution is not helping the divorced couple or the about to be divorced couple, if the restitution is also helping, then they go for the process of divorce. All right. Right after restitution paragraph, turn on to the next page to see that there are three important requisites to be fulfilled by section 9. And students, restitution of conjugal rights is given under section 9. So kindly pay attention on the book. What are the three important elements that fulfill the restitution clause? First, in order to have a fight between the spouses must be staying together. So this is the first point. The spouses must be staying together. Then only they'll have their indifferences and then they
Excuse me,
file
sir.
for restitution. Yes.
I note that the spouse must not be staying together.
Sorry, spouses must not be staying together. I'm so sorry. In order to have in order to have a marital insecurity, inactivity happening, they must be away from each other for a certain period of time. For example, either the wife might be staying at her home or the husband might be staying at his home or a different place. So when they're not staying together, then only they can prove that we are not willing to stay together and we are not able to stay together. Secondly, withdrawal of a party from the other must have no reasonable ground for such withdrawal. So what does this say? Withdrawal of a party from the other must have no reasonable ground for such withdrawal. As per applying of restitution of conjugal rights, one must be living away from another without holding a grave reason. It should be a very mere reason. Third, the aggrieved party must apply for restitution of conjugal rights. All right, the party which is hurt the most will apply for restitution. Next up, we have judicial separation. Judicial separation is also a prerequisite stage of divorce. It is also somewhere related to the concept of divorce, not very tough. Judicial separation is given in the 10th section of this act, Hindu Marriage Act. Section number 10 deals with judicial separation. Section number 9 deals with restitution of conjugal rights and voidable marriage with section 12. Students, many places it has been given. So I would like you all to always mention the sections in your answers. All right.